nation. Uhuru, that's what it's about. We want to welcome you to Aquaba Hall for this Sunday rally. These Sunday rallies are brought to you by the International People's Democratic Uhuru Movement. We're located at 4101 West Florissant on the corner of West Florissant and Alice. We'll be here from 3 to 5. Normally, we're here every Sunday, 3 to 5. All of the African People's Socialist Parties lead the International People's Democratic Uhuru Movement, who leads these particular rallies. And InPDUM, as we call it, was formed in 1991 to bring bread, peace, and Black power in the 20th century. So if you need more information about InPDUM, please go to impdum.org/. You can learn some more information about InPDUM there. You can also look up to select membership or just donate. And like I said, once again, we are here every Sunday, 3 to 5 p.m. So we encourage the online viewers to like and share and subscribe, as we are broadcasting from or streaming from the Burning Spear TV YouTube channel. So give us those likes, give us those shares. You can use the space to also donate and keep us online and keep us up in front and on the forefront of social media with the revolutionary message. So before we begin any further with the Sunday rally, we're going to say this Sunday rally's theme happens to be, what does the U.S. war on Iran mean to Black people? It's not just Trump, it's the whole damn system. So we have a great lineup today to look at that theme and to address those issues, and we want to know what it means for this war for Black people. And so before we get further into the program, we'll ask you all to please stand. We're going to sing the African Nation Fight Song. You'll see it on the screen, and we will have the African Nation Fight Song. Uhuru. Uhuru.
Can
free organization.
Fight like Benny and Malcolm remember our struggle, always be true. We are winning. From Harlem to Brazil to Tanzania, we are winning. We fight and live for free Africa. We are winning. Patrice Lumumba's life won't be in vain. We are winning. Keep up the work in Marcus Garvey's name. We are winning. Independent and free is what we will be. We are winning. Africa will bask in our victory. We are winning. Long live the liberation of our African peoples.
Socialism world, our creation.
1 billion strong, yes,
We are. One Africa! One Africa! One nation! Ooh, that's what it's about. So once again, this Sunday rally theme is focusing on what the war in Iraq is. Pardon me. And they are warring in Iraq too. But the war in Iran and what does that mean for Black people, and bring it up to the stage to take this program further will be the international president of the International People's Democratic Uhuru movement, none other than President Emmanuel Maku.
Uhuru comrades. I want to welcome everyone for being here and really appreciate you all for coming out. It's really like, you know, in many ways, the first real day that feels like summer. So that's right on. But yeah, so we'll go ahead and get started. There'll be a few videos, a couple videos that we'll be showing on you know, that give you some additional information coming out of this or coming into the panelist discussion. Uhuru, I just want to say that in the last few weeks since the February 28th attack, ongoing attack by the US and Israel on Iran, there's been something like 1,500 Iranians, civilians who've been murdered by the US and by the illegitimate settler colonial state of Israel. And there's been something like 10,000 casualties in Iran. And Iran is showing a great, a source of resistance, putting the world's oppressed peoples on their backs, on their shoulders, and is currently on their, what was it? It's 72, 73 wave of retaliations and resistance and things like that. That's right on. The U.S. During this period has bombed schools. They bombed apartment complexes. They've bombed hospitals. There's actually one hospital that they've bombed twice. This is the viciousness and the cruelty of these colonial wars engaged by the colonizers. And so even more reason why colonialism has to be removed as a mode of production out of existence and things like that. So we'll be showcasing the first video, and it'll be for about 5 minutes. And this video is the Den of Spies, right on, where Iran, after the Iranian Revolution of 1979, has turned the former U.S. embassy, which was a spy center that was used to control the people, the politics, and economy of Iran, has turned that into a museum. And so for these past decades, several decades, the people of Iran and those, visiting and things like that have gone through the experience of seeing how the U.S. Controls and dominates indirectly the peoples of the world. Uhuru.
So there's different teams in this embassy CIA spying ring, and each one of them couldn't communicate with the other directly or know the parts that they're working on. They couldn't even trust themselves, it seems like. And today, as we see, there's a lot of whistleblowers that are giving us information, like the Epstein files and the files about Abu Ghraib and Guantanamo and so on.
The United States is an imperialist power, and it's one of the characteristics of an imperialist power to plant spy dens and spy networks all over a country to control all its major political, social, economical systems, and to control these systems for its own benefits. So they work for its own profits. They exploited our natural resources. They exploited our oil.
Hey everybody, this is Laith Marou from Free Palestine TV, and we're right outside the former American embassy in Tehran, Iran. Before we continue with this report, I ask you to press the subscribe button on whatever social media platform you're watching this on, and to go to our website, freepalestine.video, to donate so we can continue bringing you this content. The former American embassy, of course, right now is a museum, and the story is as the revolution happened, the youth from the universities around Tehran gathered at this embassy and jumped the fences and ended the presence of this CIA den that was responsible for a lot of the activities of the American intelligence in not only Iran, but all the region around it. So we're going to go inside. We're going to look at how the embassy has been transformed into a museum that shows how the American intelligence and the Israeli intelligence were using it as a hub for those activities, destabilizing much of the region. And we hopefully will be able to transmit all this information to you as we go inside.
This is a message of the students in the American Embassy of Tehran. We are not against the people of the USA. We are against of the United States policy in Iran.
We can see right behind us some of the parts left from a Chinook helicopter, American Special Forces. Of course, after the takeover of the American embassy, there was the staff in the embassy that became prisoners in Iran, and the American Special Forces attempted to infiltrate Iran to take back these prisoners. And these multiple helicopters were shot down by the courageous Iranian resistance. And for those who are from the new generation that are living the realities today, the same special forces that attempted to take back the American prisoners in Tehran from the embassy are the same ones that kidnapped President Maduro of Venezuela. And unfortunately, the Venezuelan armed forces were unable to deliver on the same successes of the Iranian military. And this is a sad moment for me when I bring up Venezuela, because Iran was living moments of there was a state that is very weak at the moment. There was an attempt by Iraq to invade. There was an attempt by the Soviet Union to also reach Iran by invading Afghanistan, and the chaos of the revolution. Still, the Iranian people succeeded in stopping the Americans from entering the country and retrieving the prisoners. Now, there's conflicting stories about what happened that day. The Americans call it the massacre of Tabas. The Iranians call it the success in the desert of Tabas. One of the conflicting stories is that the helicopters, a sandstorm was blowing and made them hit each other, and they collapsed in the desert by themselves. Of course, even if that's true, that is a clear signal that God, the Creator, the just God, was there amongst the rebels, revolutionaries of Iran that brought us the Islamic revolution that has helped resistance and the oppressed all over the world.
Uhuru. Uhuru, so thank you for that video displaying, the heroism of the Iranian people. So yeah, we'll move on to our next video. But just before that, we do have some panelists who will be speaking after this video, and we'll be discussing 3 questions. How did we get here? To this a current a situation, and what does it mean for Black people? And last but not least, how should Black people respond? So we'll be reviewing, I think very timely, an interview that was done by, I think it was 60 Minutes, coming out of the 1979 Iranian Revolution. And this was an interview that was done to the Ayatollah. And this whole question of the release of the hostages. Uhuru.
What we hear, Imam, that today, perhaps today, some Black hostages and some female hostages will be released from the American embassy compound. Is that true?
The freedom of the women and Blacks will be given. Women are given great dignity in Islam, and the Blacks have been oppressed in the United States. Great injustice was done unto them. They were under pressure in the United States. Thus they came here. We are doing this owing to the tenets of Islam. In return, We ask nothing for their freedom. We want the Shah. Carter must return him. The world's international law agree with this principle.
I ask you, as an American and a human being, talking to an Iranian and another human being, is there no room for compromise? Or is Iran now, in effect, at war with the United States?
I'm sorry, I can't ask that first question because that one was crossed out. Hazrat Imam.
Imam, is Iran, in effect, at war with the United States now?
Hazrat Imam, آیا جناب عالی یا به طور کلی ایران در حال حاضر با امریکا در حال جنگ هستیم؟
جنگ مقصود چی است؟ اگر مقصود این است که
What do you mean by war? If you mean our armies against the United States armies, no, there is no such war. If you mean it is a battle of nerves, it is Carter's doing. We are against war. We are Muslims. We desire peace for all. Carter does not allow this. Carter should put aside his so-called humanism and return the criminal Shah so that we can conclude this matter. The Shah is a criminal. We all know this. This spy nest you call the U.S. Embassy then can be returned to a place of humanism and diplomacy. Carter must return the Shah. We have nothing against the people of the United States.
But if
Uhuru. That was I think real important. The Iranians, the people of Iran, has and continue to show their solidarity with the struggle of Black people here in the U.S. And that's really significant for our communities to know. The peoples of Iran wanted the Shah, who had committed all these offenses on the people, and they want to know exactly what all the offenses were. I mean, they knew about the conditions that they lived in and all these things, and the luxury that the Shah was living in, on their backs, and they want real justice, the power to, bring upon justice to the wrongs that's been committed to them in the form, of the Shah, and they have every right to do so. There are some sellout Negroes here, in African communities all over the place. The people must have the, the power to do right by those who committed wrong against them. But with that being said, we have some amazing panelists here today. We have with us in the room we have Comrade Jesse Todd, who is the known in St. Louis, Missouri, as the People's Alderman. Comrade Jesse Todd is also a lifetime member of InPDUM. We have Comrade President General Zaki Baroudi coming out from the Universal African Peoples Organization, UAPO, Uhuru. We have with us the chairman of the African People's Socialist Party and leader of the Uhuru movement, our chairman, Chairman Omali Shatella. Uhuru. And present here in the room also is Penny Hess, who is the African People's Solidarity Committee chairwoman, and she will be giving a solidarity statement. Uhuru. All right. So, like I said before, there are three questions I want the panelists to, to be able to have some time to answer. How do we get here? What does it mean for Black people, this U.S. And Israeli war on Iran, and how should Black people respond? Uhuru. I think there are some. Okay, yeah. The first person who will be coming up is a comrade Jesse Todd. We know you were on a time constraint. Yes, there are some time constraints. So we do want to bring Jesse Todd here. Uhuru. Uhuru.
Uhuru, comrades, Uhuru. I would just like to say thank you very much. First of all, I think the question is, first of all, how did we get here? Well, we got here because it started with us being brought over here in chains. That's how we really got here, and throughout all the imperialism ever since we've been here. And what does it mean to Black people? Actually, it means some of us are going to be dying for nothing, and others will be. The good thing is some of us will be resisting, and the same as we did in the '60s. And then I think the other question was how should we respond? That's extremely important that we respond. We can use the 1960s as an example. That showed, because I was involved in the anti-war movement too, and we should respond. And we didn't have social media. We can respond with social media. We can respond in the street. We can respond in forums like we're having right here. We're responding whatever way, whatever we can respond in family reunion, we can respond in any kind of organization, association, within our families, we can respond. Wherever we are, we should be teaching that imperialism and colonialism are going to harm us. And I would like to just give you some examples. It would be like doing I'm going to use World War I to just compare and contrast to what we're doing now, and show you how it harmed us then, and it still will harm us now. In World War I, Africa, some Blacks were naive enough to believe if we went to war and fought and did the right thing, we get back home, we'd be, okay. But when Blacks got back home, we were hung in our people were hanging in their uniforms. And what happened was they did that because the Africans were trained to defend themselves, and they were scared. They wanted to put fear in Africans to make sure that not only the Africans, but the masses of people were not organized to defend themselves. The other thing is that it was just there were other things like some other things that happened too was they had a film called Birth of a Nation. They right after they were hanging us, they had the film for two reasons. One, to demean us, as well as to make us look. The film showed that we were rapists. They violent. Well, that was to restrain us, and anything that they did to us, once they demonized us, would be okay with. And so what they ended up doing was locking us up, continuing hanging us, segregation. God, that was in 1919. This was the time I'm talking about. It was rough. I wasn't born then, but I mean, my parents were and my grandparents were at the time. But the point is, they did this to again to control us, and then they used terrorism. They had these riots called the Red Summer. And what happened was, in Greenwood, Oklahoma, just to name a few, they actually burned it down, ran the people out of the city. And then in Detroit, Michigan, they came and shot up the place. But one good thing about Detroit fought back and sent them out of there in body bags. And these people were they were led by the law enforcement officers and white law enforcement officers and the elected officials, but they didn't come back. Yeah. So that kind of slowed some of that stuff down. But the way that, but the similarity again is this was President Woodrow Wilson. Yes. And that was he was a Democrat. Yes. And what happened was he just walked up and fired the African workers who were working for the federal government and replaced them with white workers. Well, we have a similar thing going on now, where we had over 300,000 Black females fired recently. So that's what, all of the wars, whether it be an embargo on Venezuela, Cuba, any of those, these are wars, so we can see tip of the iceberg. The other way it's going to impact us is that when violence occurs, when the government itself, the federal government, starts violence like they're doing all over the world right now, especially in Iran. This is official war, but the other wars that they have been, where we've had civil war by Democrats and Republicans. So this is not like it's just been ongoing. But right now with Iran, is that when we have wars, what happens too is that it's going to affect us, because when they go out and fight in other countries, it just doesn't stop there. What happens is it's going to come back to our community, to the Black community, because see, historically, we've always, the native Blacks, I mean, there are many different kinds of Blacks. I'm talking about the ones of us who trace our ancestry back to enslavement in this country. What they do is, in the past has been, is to point us and use us as scapegoats, because if we let them, that's the big question is, are we going to let this happen? It's up to us. We can stop it. It doesn't have to happen. So it's like when we talk about what should we do? We should do everything within the system and unapologetically. And we have to educate the masses. We have to sometimes, whether it be self-defense or nonviolence, I think nonviolence is beautiful. If a person wants to do self-defense, that's fine. If they're not nonviolent, but don't criticize nonviolent. If you want to do self-defense, if another person wants to do self-defense, good. That's up. You have a right to self-defense. If another person, I believe in self-defense and nonviolence. Because if you say March is nonviolent, I'm not going to come up with a gun. I'm going to leave my gun at home. You know, that's what I'm going to do. I'm not going to have a gun unless if I'm nonviolent, they say no weapons allowed. I'm going to follow the directions of the leadership. So both are effective, you know, and we can make most of the changes that we need to make nonviolent, as long as the government and the state will follow this city charter, the state constitution, and the federal constitution. Because the reason we had to have any movements was because it was the government. It wasn't that we were violent, the government was violent and wouldn't protect our rights. Yes. So that's what that's what we're going to do. We're going to stand up. Yes. We're going to respond by fighting any way you choose to fight, when your rights are, I'm not going to criticize you. I'm going to just tell you, because they shouldn't be stopping you and treating you any different than anybody. They're the lawbreakers. Anytime somebody deny you your rights, they're breaking the law. So anybody, I don't care who it is, whether it's law enforcement or another citizen, you have the same rights as everybody else. And that's how we should respond. We should do whatever it takes to make sure that we're gonna, it's gonna help us at the end. Let me see, it's gonna help us with reparations. I think it's gonna get sharp. I think it's gonna help us to understand colonialism. I hate to see wars, but this one is so very clear. It makes it very crystal clear about colonialism. This makes it crystal clear about imperialism. And so that's what, and I think that we need to take advantage of it, and our response should be to educate the masses about this system. It is not going to work. It's never worked for us, and we need to change it so that it does work for the people. Uhuru. Sorry, I have to run. I'm under the weather. I just leave it at that.
Uhuru, right on. Thank you so much, People's Alderman Jesse Todd. Uhuru. And definitely all acts by the colonized is an act of self-defense. Uhuru. Next, we'll bring up Comrade President General Zaki Baroudi. Once again, the questions are, how we get here, what does it mean for Black people, and how should Black people respond? Uhuru, Comrade President.
Uhuru, in the name of Allah, the one God, to whom all praises, Lord of the world, Master of the day of judgment, say, Assalamu alaikum. I didn't hear you. Assalamu alaikum. And Black Power. Before I give my comments, let me just salute the African People's Socialist Party for bringing us together to deal with a real deep issue impacting not just us, but the entire world. Yeah. Let's give it up again for the Africans. Under the leadership of Brother Omali Yesateli, as well as I truly appreciate the videos. It takes us back in history and give us a clear projection of what we're dealing with. And what we're dealing with is, of course, colonialism, imperialism, capitalism, and just I always call it a super evil system. So we have to just be clear about that. How did we get here? As Jesse Todd said, right on. It's a historical line of murder, rape, genocide that this government has carried out since the founding of this country, since the use of us as labor and the humiliation of a race, that they took our culture from us and demeaned us at every level that could be demeaned, where they destroyed millions of lives in the transatlantic trade and the abject slavery that our people had to undertake. It's a continuum of the murder, genocide of the Native Americans. It's a continuum of 100 years of lynching, which everybody should get that book. It's a continuum of the Jim Crow era that we face. It's a continuum of the bombs dropped in Philadelphia on the MOVE movement. It's a continuum of the systematic attack on the Black Panther Party. So that's part of how we get here. But at the same time, when we look at Iran, we cannot forget that in 1952, this government, like it has done across the globe, systematically removed through the CIA the Democratic elected president of Iran in 1952 and put in place a wicked dictator who was called the Shah, who didn't give a damn about his people and used his power to sustain the policy of this government for the number of years until you had the Iranian Revolution led by Ayatollah Khomeini. It's a continuum of the fact that other peoples of the world, including the Vietnamese people during the Vietnam War, who are saying, black man, why are you over here fighting? Throw down your guns or use your guns against the oppressor. It's a continuum. It's a continuum because Ayatollah Khomeini understood that we are an oppressed people, and that's why, as it was stated in the video, to free the blacks who were held as hostages along with the women. It's a continuum. It's a continuum of a struggle of oppressed people by a colonial state called the United States government, along with other European powers, to maintain their power at the exploitation of people. Example, not only Iran, but what they're doing in Cuba. Complete strangulation. A group of people cannot even get basic supplies to maintain their society, which impact people looking like you and I. Bottom line, it's just that kind of continuum that we are struggling against. So the question becomes, how does it impact black people? Hell, it's psychologically messing my brain up to see what is going on. It impacts black people because some of us, foolishly or not consciously, will give up our lives and be injured bodily through warfare for a group of people that don't give a damn about them. That's the impact on black people. Along with, if we look at the war, just some basic things, when we go to put gas in our car, damn. Just the whole cost of living. Because someone woke up after consulting his criminal partners. We'll fake them out. Let's go negotiate. Call ourselves negotiate. But like a thief at night, attack. That's what we're dealing with. And that's the impact on our people. Yeah. How do we respond? There's a whole lot of methodologies. You got to do something, though. You got to do something. For those who say that they believe in the Creator, then you duty bound. You are duty bound. And that's why I salute Dr. King in his most important statement of his life. Exactly 1 year, on April the 4th, 1967, at Riverside Church in New York, said that the greatest purveyor of violence in the world was his government, the United States government. And of course, it was exemplified with his murder and assassination. So, Also, part of that speech was breaking the silence. So our duty is to heighten the breaking of the silence that takes too much, is real in our community. We don't have enough voices that's speaking truth to power in a most profound way. So our duty is, first of all, and that's the sadness of what we're dealing with, because many people are ignorant of foreign policy. I just got to call it like it is. And we have to educate them. That's why we have an educational system that perpetuates the ignorance, because our young people, when they graduate, have no sense of history. So we are duty bound, those of us who are conscious, to awaken that giant. And that giant is us as a people that can change the whole course of world history. And how can that look like? How would that look like? Our organization, with the support of African People's Socialist Party and others, we just had a meeting around Cuba, and out of that, there was two basic agreements, which we will make happen. One is that we'll choose a neighborhood or community to go throughout that community with flyers and information to try to awaken the masses of our people. And then we need a huge, in my humble opinion, that would hopefully help awaken the people, a major rally at one of the federal buildings, the Thomas Eagleton building in particular, as a point of demonstration. But we can't stop there. We got to also, in my humble opinion, create a movement where we target these major industries with withdrawal of our dollars in support of them, called boycotts, strategies. And then for wherever else, those revolutionaries that may want to say, I'm just saying the task that's before you. So, so we're in some serious times. Y'all know that, don't you? Yeah. I mean, on the real side. So I hope I answered some of the questions. Did I? All right. So, and I want to close on this too. I just want to salute the anthem, the African anthem. Billion strong. 1 billion strong. Yes. We are winning. We are winning. We will win. Yeah. All right. So power to the people.
Uhuru, thank you so much, Comrade President General Zaki Baruti from UWAPO.
Can I come next?
Yes, okay. And for the energy that that you bring. Next, we have Comrade Chairwoman Penny Hess speaking from the African People's Solidarity Committee. Uhuru.
Uhuru, I just want to say it is a profound honor to be here today, and it's a great honor to be here with the People's Alderman Jesse Todd, with UWAPO President General Zaki Baruti, and that was a powerful event the other night around Cuba. But I'm really glad that I was there and learned very much. And I salute my leadership, Chairman Omali Yeshitela, the African People's Socialist Party, Deputy Chair Onizine Yeshitela, and I am proud to be a member of the African People's Solidarity Committee, the organization of white people with the mission to, under the leadership of the African Revolution, go out into the white community to organize other white people to take a stand by joining under the leadership of the African Revolution and to win reparations to African people in a real way. And in politically, but also in reality, to return the stolen resources. And one of the questions was, how did we get here today? And I think that the President General Zaki Barudi addressed some of the things that the conditions that were brought about that created the world that we live in today. And the chairman has a term for this, and it's called the colonial mode of production. And it's really important to understand that this world is entirely configured by Europe's coming out of the borders of Europe 600 years ago, and for many, many centuries, and still does this today, to assault Africa, the entire continent of Africa. There is a book called The History of Africa that details how from the, I believe, Cape Verde Islands all the way around the Cape of Good Hope and into the other side of Africa, to the east side of Africa, step by step, Europeans took over the entire continent, stealing the resources, but turning African human beings into the most profitable commodity ever that became the birth of the capitalist system. And the wealth that white people and Europeans experience today based on centuries of nearly a millennium of the theft of African labor, African gold, African genius that brought to Europe, which was, as the chairman said, was stolen. This conditions in Europe that were impoverished, cold, a rock with nothing there. And Europe went out and stole from the world, colonized the entire world. Asia committed genocide against the indigenous people throughout this hemisphere, North and South America, and imposed this colonial system of European domination on the entire world. That's how we got to be here. That is the colonial mode of production. And it is saying, the chairman is saying that colonialism is the essence, the DNA of the system that we live in. And if we don't get there, then we are just saying that by changing the attitudes of white people, by struggling against racism, then we could change the world. But actually what that does is empowers the system that we live in. And as the chairman said, this is a struggle for the total liberation of Africa, of African people everywhere forcibly dispersed around the world, African people inside the borders of the US, and that this land is still today the land of the indigenous people. And if white people want to go forward and be part of the world, then we have to stand in solidarity with the struggle against colonialism and the colonial mode of production. And when white people, because white people were complicit with everything that the system did. It couldn't have done it just with the government of Europe. It did it with white people, sending white people out all over the world to actively carry out genocide, slaughter, theft, and pillage. And, right now in the news every day is the Epstein files, which again, the chairman talks about how in Europe, when under Germany in the 1940s, white people did to other white people what all white people had been doing to African people and indigenous people for hundreds of years. Well, the Epstein files is again another example of that, of this kind of thing that white people have carried out against in unity with our government, carrying out the violence. President General Zaki Barudi talked about the book 100 Years of Lynchings, which is, a powerful book that made an impact on me. And I know part of our movement of Hands Off Uhuru, Hands Off Africa is the author and activist Warren Churchill, who has delineated and laid out this genocide it is our responsibility to go into the white community and win white people to come on the forward side of history, jump off this pedestal that we sit on. And when we see the victory and we salute the victory of the people of Iran, the people of Cuba, the people of Venezuela, this is the side of history that we want to be on, and victory to African people here and around the world. And, you know, yesterday at the Hands Off Uhuru, Hands Off Africa webinar, we were talking about the fact that that the chairman has always worked with the Iranian students in the United States, the Sandinistas back in the day in California, working with Sandinistas stationed in San Francisco. The chairman worked with them and was part of that movement. And I remember that during that period leading up to the revolution, yes, there's the chairman with the Iranian students in Gainesville, Florida. Very powerful, powerful demonstration. Very powerful. And that was when the chairman led a demonstration in Gainesville that was attacked by white nationalists. Weren't they chanting, send the Klan to Iran?
That was one of the chants.
Yeah, and
Send the Klan to Iran and send niggas go home.
yes, right. And the chairman took, the white people had to follow them into the African community, and the entire African community of Gainesville, Florida came out and kicked their asses. So, you know, this is the struggle. And I remember that the chairman worked with the Sandinistas who were stationed in San Francisco in the struggle for the liberation of Nicaragua. And this is prior to that victory, which it was in 1979. And this was earlier, or maybe a year before that. They had a center in San Francisco. The party was in Oakland, and it was called Casa Nicaragua. And they had events, and they showed film footage from the front of where they were fighting and how so many people had, so many men, you know, had been murdered by U.S. backed and that troops, and so they had to have children fighting, you know, in that war. But it was very powerful. But I remember that one of the Sandinistas, Carmen, always spoke at the Uhuru movement events, and she would say, if you want to support the people of Nicaragua and the struggle of the Sandinistas, stand under the leadership of the African Liberation Movement. And that was powerful. That is the best thing you could do for Nicaragua or any other anti-colonial struggle. So I just want to say, Uhuru, it is powerful to be able to be on the winning side. Venceremos. We are winning. Uhuru. Reparations now.
Uhuru, thank you so much, Carmen Chairwoman Penny Hess of the African People's Solidarity Committee, and just the continual work of I think it's 50 years this year of winning white people to to the position of reparations to African people, and as well as the support, material support, and being under the leadership of of the African Revolution under the African People's Socialist Party and the Uhuru movement. Uhuru. Next up, I'm happy and proud to bring our chairman, Chairman Omali Sicela, who has committed his life to the liberation of Africa and African people and oppressed peoples all around the world. He is the founder, he's the co-founder of the African People's Social Party and the founder of the Uhuru movement, and all the work that you see here and in Africa and all around the world in terms of the Uhuru movement, and even broader to that, because as Chairwoman Penny Hess has said on the Sandinistas, the Iranian students and things like that, he's influenced a lot of revolutionary movements all throughout the world. Uhuru, Chairman.
Uhuru. First, I want to thank you, Comrade President Lukade, for the introduction.
I'd like to also express my appreciation to everybody who's come out for this extraordinarily important discussion that we're having. And I'm so proud to be here in St. Louis, working with comrades like the Universal African Peoples Organization, Comrade President General Zaki Baruti, who have a history of internationalism, who understand this in a deep and profound way. You can tell by the name of the Universal African Peoples Organization, the fact that Marcus Garvey had an impact on the consciousness of that organization. Some people treat Garvey wrongly, and unfortunately, it's most of the people who call themselves Garveyites who do that, who do not recognize that Garvey was not some kind of messiah. He was the most important anti-imperialist leader that's ever been produced inside this country. And I said anti-imperialist leader. There was no organization, the Communist International, nothing matched what Garvey put down on the ground. And the center of that was African people. But if you read Garvey, read books like Race First, and you will see the FBI snitches would report, and they integrated the FBI for the purpose of being able to put a spy in Garvey's movement. There was no Negro in the FBI until they needed somebody to join Garvey's movement. And what they would report on is that from all around the world, people who were fighting for freedom, they came to meet Mr. Garvey. Didn't matter where they were from, they were meeting Mr. Garvey. And Garvey's newspaper played like an extraordinarily important role in the struggle that the Sandino, for whom the Sandinista movement was named, was carrying out, because it was printed in 3 different languages. And the oppressors were too stupid to understand that the Spanish language message was getting to all of those people who were fighting on the side of Sandino to overturn the United States oppression there. It might be worth mentioning, just going back to something that Comrade President General Zaki Baruti talked about. He talked about what happened in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Well, the first 2 military area bombardments in the world happened in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and in Nicaragua, where they were killing Nicaraguans, etc. That says something about the relationship that all of us have, regardless of how we understand it. I think it's important to say, I'm thrown off because there's so much stuff that can be talked about here. I mean, you talk about the Iranian movement. You know that in 1972, decades before it happened in the United States, that the Iranians had named a flag, a stamp, did a stamp of Malcolm X. Malcolm X was a stamp that they were using to send their mail inside Iran. They loved Malcolm X. He was an extraordinarily influential force throughout the world. And if you remember, for whatever else is said, Malcolm X is the one who introduced African people in this country, mostly in the most recent history, to Islam. Of course, we brought Islam with us in many instances. When they kidnapped us and brought us here, they brought many people who were already Muslims came here. Some Muslim scholars who actually were able to reproduce the Quran by hand, from memory, etc. So they didn't just come to get people to work. They came for the technology that we brought. We're the ones who taught them how to grow rice and how to rotate crops and all of this kind of stuff like this. Africans did that. So I just wanted to say that. And then moving forward, it's important for me to also say that from the 17th through the 19th, 3-day period, the African People's Socialist Party will be conducting our plenary. And I'm hoping that people will be able to participate in those 3 days. And I'm asking you to go to APSP Plenary, Plenary.org, and register. It's going to be like an extraordinarily important event that we're having. And I'm saying this because we do not resolve the critical issues that we are dealing with just a single meeting. And Comrade Jesse Todd and Comrade Zaki Baruti responded to the question of how we got here. And of course, how we got here is because somebody came with guns and kidnapped us. We look at what happened to Maduro, and people are acting surprised, and it pisses me off, especially when white people, settlers, colonizers, pretend surprised at the acts of aggression, genocide, murder, rape, what have you, that this government is involved in. When you look at how Africans got here, it's not like we came here looking for a better way of life. We're the only group that came here and lost a better way of life as a consequence of having been brought here. And that's the reality that we're looking at. And I think it's really important for us to say that, because if you don't understand that, you don't understand your centrality. What Africa has to do with Iran? Why is Iran so important to African people? They brought us here against our will. They didn't just bring us here. Here you have these people crying crocodile tears, being threatened, they say, by Iran. This is why they're attacking. Being threatened, they say, about Venezuela. That's why they're attacking and kidnapping the president and what have you there. But the fact of the matter is that they attacked our Africa, and they killed what was characterized as the dark days of Europe. They killed a third of the African population. Understand what I just said. A third of all the Africans on earth were killed by them during this process. There were 600 million estimated Africans alive during this period. They killed 200 million Black people. This is what they did. And so you're supposed to be crying crocodile tears and what have you. And they built, this was the part of the process that they began to create what now is a world economy. Was no world economy before then. Was no Europe before then. Was no America before then. All of this came about as a consequence of the attack on Africa and the subsequent aggressions that they made against the rest of the people of the world, dispersing us forcibly around the world. That's how we got to be. That's why there is a Venezuela. There was no Venezuela. There was no Ecuador, as it's now recognized. Black people kidnapped, transferred against our will to all these places, to the place called Haiti, Jamaica, Cuba, all those places we were taken there against our will, at gunpoint, etc. And this is the first time you saw in history a single world economy. Africans had traded with people around the world before now, but there was no world economy that linked all of us up into a single economy. That came about as a consequence of slavery. Karl Marx tried to, of colonialism, I should say. People are prepared to recognize the evils of capitalism and how bad capitalism is. But Karl Marx, in talking about capitalism, and who wrote probably the most significant and influential book in the world on capitalism, he set out to answer the question, how did capitalist production come about? He said, in order for there to be capitalist production, there has to be capitalist accumulation. But in order for there to be an accumulation of capital, there has to be capital production. He said, how the hell do we get out of this vicious circle except by presupposing the existence of accumulation of capital that came before capitalist production? He said that was primitive accumulation. This thing that he called primitive accumulation was turning Africa into a warren for the commercial hunting of black skins. That was a critical aspect of it. And turning the indigenous peoples on this land into mines, bringing up gold and silver. That was a part of creating this whole social system that we're talking about. They referred to as capitalism. And he talked about what they did in East India. That's a place we call India, Pakistan, and many of those other territories like that that was attacked by England. So you have the emergence now for the first time in history of a world economy that's recognized as capitalism. And how did it come into existence? And the beginning of that was the attack on Africa, our Africa, the kidnapping of black people and the forcible transfers of African people around the world. There was no Europe before then. There was just these warring tribes in this place that we now call Europe. it came where people and groups identified themselves primarily, defined themselves primarily in relationship to each other. Tribes who defined themselves primarily in relationship to each other. There were, how do you characterize it? The Celts, the Visigoths, Goths, this kind of thing spread throughout this area. What changed that? What changed it was when Portugal made this initial foray onto Africa and began the process of international agriculture with sugar on the Canary Islands, where Africans were kidnapped and forced to work. This is where there was no sugar. Generally speaking, in Europe, that was a rich person's part of the diet. Ordinary people did not have access to sugar. And it made a major impact on history because it created kind of energy that allowed people to work beyond what they were doing before. Sugar, we did that. Africans did that. Forced labor did that. And so you had the creation, again, for the first time in human history, of a world economy. We just said where it came from. We just said where Europe came from. Now, as a consequence of what Portugal has done, as this beginning, Europeans who previously identified themselves and defined themselves primarily in relationship to each other, now begin to define themselves in relationship to us. Because we were the source of all the resources they got. This is what created the self-definition of Europe, the sense of sameness that defined them in opposition to the rest of us. This is where Europe came from. It's no Europe. You're talking about Iran, an entity 2,000 years or so old. How old is what they call America? That's a question. How old is it? It just got here. I'm older than the state of Israel. You understand what we're talking about? These are settlers. And I'm not going to let them forget it. They're settlers who have no, not only do they have no rights except those they impose on the rest of us by gunpoint, they make laws. The colonizer makes all the law. International law created by colonizers mostly. And it's their law. And what is law made for except to effectively protect the social system as it exists? So if you have people who are enslaving people, they're gonna make laws that say people who are being enslaved can be free. They're gonna make laws that respect the rights of labor. If you got an economy based on slavery, if you got a social system based on colonialism, then freedom is automatically illegal. If you got a system based on slavery, freedom is illegal, which is why they tracked down Nat Turner and captured him and put him on trial. For doing what? Escaping from slavery. Because it was illegal to get away from slavery. This is what we really have to remember. This is the social system we're dealing with, and we have to look for solutions outside of what is offered to us by the one who has oppressed us, etc. So, what are we looking at? How did we get here? We got here because you're looking at a crisis in a system that came together on the backs of the oppressed peoples of the world. And you see, this crisis is based on the fact that around the world, the resistance of the oppressed, of the colonized people, is becoming generalized. And not only is the resistance of the colonized people becoming generalized, there's a greater contest within forces who have great powers for the resources that the colonizers control. So you see Russia, China, all these forces are playing in the same pool of water for the same kind of resources to determine what the economic and political configuration of the world is going to look like to their advantage. Africans have to have the ability to define what it is we're about. That's why I'm talking about this plenary. That's why this song that we're talking about, 1 billion strong, it's almost about 2 billion right now. That's strong African people. That's why we talk about one Africa, one nation, to escape from the logic of minorityism, this presumption that somehow we minorities here. Look at what they've done to us. When they carved up Africa into these illogical entities that they created, you see what they've done. When they carved it up, there are only a handful of people in these different territories. There are more people in prison. There are more black people in prison in this country than there are in Djibouti, in East Africa, than there are in Guinea, the Spanish-controlled Equatorial Guinea. There are more black people in prison than that. The objective is to keep us too small to be able to recognize ourselves as a national entity and then impose this false identity upon us. They're the ones who control the school. That's why they're burning your books. That's why they put people in jails who got the wrong stuff in the libraries right now, because they don't want you to have an independent thought of your own. They don't want your brains to be able to find its way back home. So they do everything they can to muddy up the tracks so you can't get there. We're going home. Yeah, because home is freedom. And so I just think it's important to say that. It's important to say that that not only are they doing what they're doing in Iran, and Iran has pursued a magnificent resistance. It's in the context of what they're doing now to people in Venezuela, what they're doing to people in Cuba, etc. I've been through these struggles forever and ever. I think Zaki was in Cuba. Weren't you in Cuba, Zaki? And other parts of this struggle has been going. This didn't just start. It's been going on for a long time. They kill almost all of the indigenous people in the land of Cuba have been murdered. They murdered them. And really, Cubans and what they call Mexicans today, a combination of Africans and indigenous and Spanish people. That's who the Mexicans are. Who speak Spanish, etc. So anyway, we have to be able to deconstruct this horror that has been imposed upon us, and that's part of what our responsibility is. You have a situation where the real issue we are confronted with is the loss of self-determination. At different times, this loss of self-determination has been defined in different ways. They've called it slavery. We didn't have self-determination when they had the legal slavery was going on. We call it Jim Crow. It was an absence of self-determination that we were looking at. They call it segregation, the absence of self-determination. They call it integration, the absence of self-determination. We still didn't have self-determination, no matter how the hell they call it. The right of a people to define its own future for itself and to carry out the mission of living for itself, etc., in relationships with anybody in the world that they want to have a relationship with. That's the task that we are struggling with. So I think it's important to say that we had some debates with some time ago because people are talking about developing a peace movement. And they couldn't find out how during Vietnam, you had the so-called peace movement. And even though all of the polls demonstrated that Africans were most opposed to that war and white people for the war, the peace movement was a white movement. Why was the peace movement white? And because the fact is that Africans didn't have to leave to go to a demonstration in DC to find the war. That we were under attack all the damn time. And they didn't talk about a war, peace, that would stop the police cars from coming into our community, assassinating people, murdering people, etc. That peace had something to do different from ours. But the Black Panther Party was a peace movement, a peace organization. All of our movements for liberation were movements for peace, but because there can be no peace under colonial domination. That's why Zaki and I are both a part of an organization called Black is Back, a coalition for what? Social justice, peace, and reparations. Social justice, peace, and reparation, because there can be no peace without social justice. There ain't gonna be no peace. There shouldn't be peace. If there's no social justice, those who are oppressed have a responsibility, a duty to rise up and to make themselves free. So I wanted to just say those things, and this country, in addition to other things, what it has done is creating, they talk about hostages, there was a whole big thing about hostages in 1979. Look at 1979. You're talking about 1979, that was the Nicaraguan Revolution, 1969, 79. 1979, the hostage question development, the revolution that happened in Iran. Oh, look at the 1960s. Look at what was going on. What was Nkrumah trying to do? By now they've overthrown Nkrumah. And I say they killed Nkrumah ultimately. What was the revolutionary forces around the world was moving forward, and they didn't have a movement of at this time, some kind of anti-racist movement. They were talking about movements for self-determination against colonialism. Look at Malcolm X. People here are familiar with Malcolm X, and he talked about what? The Bandung Conference, where people, what he called black people from all around the world, came together at Bandung in Indonesia, said the white man couldn't come, and that's true. And people were talking about ending colonialism. And that was in 1955, it was. Of course, by 1965, you saw that the CIA participated in murdering 1 million people. Do you understand? 1 million people in Indonesia. Because people want to be free. And it's our responsibility as leaders, as Comrade Jesse Todd was saying earlier, we have to go into our communities and provide the political education that's necessary for the people to understand what has to be done. So I want to say, finally, we are used as human shields. And here, they are killing people in Iran, and they are killing people even in Russia, using the national, how they characterize it, global, the NGA. How's that? National what? National Geospatial Intelligence Entity. It's a geospace. They control every communication that you're involved in on your phone, on your watch, etc. They have that ability. They're the ones who have satellites that control drones that's killing people in various parts, targeting people. They can see from 4 miles up in the air, or they can read the license plates on a particular car. I'm not saying this to scare you, because it still hasn't worked in terms of crushing the will of the people and the struggles that people are involved in. But I'm just telling you that if they doing this and they kill a general right there in Moscow using this technology, they're killing people in various places around the world. They help to kill people, Russians. Now, they're upset because the Russians seem to be giving information to the Iranians about where the different U.S. assets are. They made the U.S. blind. They destroyed all of the radar and things like that. But they are killing people like that. So if they decide to hit back, if any of these forces like that decide to hit back in a very serious way, that NGA is an 8-minute drive from where we are right now. Our community is like a situation where we function in so many ways as human shields for any retaliation that any country would want to initiate against what the United States is doing. That's another reason we should be opposed to it. Thank you, brothers and sisters. I know I talked a long time, but I want to appreciate everybody for being here. This is a critical discussion. We're going to be calling on people who want to. Comrade Zaki mentioned it. We're talking about 2 events, and perhaps 2 events, perhaps one that can do both things. But one thing we need to do, Comrade Zaki described going through our community, but what we were talking about is having a march through the community. Even if we can't get a permit, go on the sidewalk. Use banners and propaganda that we've dispersed to people, opposing what they're doing to Cuba, opposing what they're doing to Iran by tying it to what they're doing to us. That until you pay reparations, not another penny
of our money that you would spend on a bomb that go to Iran. Something to that effect that ties, that gives, help the people to see their own interests, their own stakes in this situation. And then we can also do the demonstration at the federal building. But I think it's extremely important because people are asking this question. One of the things that they have succeeded in doing with this war on Iran is push all kinds of questions to the surface that people were not necessarily having before. I don't know if you can find a community where somebody's not talking about Iran right now. I don't know if you can find a place where nobody, where oppressed people are not saluting the resistance of the Iranians and tenacity of the Iranians and what this has meant to the strategic direction of United States military aspirations. How can the United States has run out of ammo talk about how it's going to be prepared to fight China over Taiwan? How is the United States has run out of ammo going to be able to even attack Cuba with the kind of authority that it thinks it has? Look at what it's already had to do in terms of ending the sanctions on Russia so that Russian oil can be sold, which gives Russia more resources that they're going to be able to use to fight them in Ukraine. Look, they even talk about the Iranians, sanctions on the Iranians oil that's already on ships, et cetera. That is something that they've lifted, et cetera. This is because they put themselves in a corner that's upended the entire world economy, and the people are determined to be free. And the Iranians don't have any place to go. But all of those Zionists who are attacking Iran, when the things get hot enough, and this is the first time we've seen Bethlehem, Jerusalem get hit by rockets, et cetera. When things get hot enough, they're going back to New York, and they're going back, to Russia. They're going back to all of them other white places that they came from, and they're going to stop pretending to be like they have some real natural inherited stakes in what is now known as Iran and Israel. So thank you, comrades. Uhuru.
Uhuru, comrades, thank you so much, Comrade Chairman, for giving that amazing response. We do want to have a portion of this to be open up for discussion. Let's see. Yeah, but before that, we'll do a quick call for membership and resources. This is something that this piece will be led by our dear Comrade Fofi. Uhuru.
Fist up!
Fight back!
Fist up!
Fight back!
Fight back!
And if I guess all the speakers, if y'all could come up, just in case people have questions for y'all. Uhuru.
Uhuru, comrades! Woo. I know what you've heard is pulling things together that you've seen. Now you know why. Chairman once said, we're here because they were there. And with that being said, it gave me clarity. Now, since we are here, we have to take up arms, comrades. And I mean with your mouth, with your fist, and right now, with your dollar. Our goal today is $100. And that can be achieved with a group of us and more. What happens to the resources? The light, the electricity, the gas. This is what we're asking today. You can go to Cash App in $ InPDUM if you want to do Cash App. You can go to inpdum.org/donate if you want to use your card and go to the website. But we will take dollars. We're not, we don't mind. dollars, nickels, dime, quarters. If you have $100 and want to move the program on, we will take your money, and every dollar, every nickel, dime, every $20 is a dollar for revolution. I mean, this is how we get people out. We have flyers. We have to pass out things. This program that you've heard about that we'll be doing in the neighborhood, that takes dollars. This is how we're going to show people how to get to revolution and show them how to fight. All right. Can I see a hand up? Somebody that want to do $20? All right. $15? 15. I'm gonna tell your mama. $10. $5. All right, comrades. Whatever you want to give. Comrade Ikenge will be around with the collecting the dollars and cents, and I will come back. But before I come back, I want to show you how you can become a member. Because when you want to fight, but you just don't know how, you don't know where to start, this is how you start. You become an international member of the International People Democratic Uhuru Movement. And you know the good thing about here in St. Louis, we got our international president right here. And we've got our local president right here in St. Louis. But everything you need, you can find it. You can learn how to fight. You can learn where to fight, and you can have a voice in how you fight. For a $25 membership per year, you can become a member of the organization. That's $25. You spend $25, you know, when you go to the grocery store, don't even get a whole bag. Okay? Better than that, we've got the Musa Bantu level of InPDUM membership, which is $10 annually, once a year. It is for members that are students or unemployed. All right, that's for a whole year, $10. And if you have brothers, sisters, relatives, friends that are behind the bars, closed on the other side, waiting to come back and join us, you need to get them a $5 membership, the George Jackson, Desi Woods level InPDUM membership. And guess what? They will get a burning spear. So when they come out, they'll know what to do. They'll know where we are. They'll know how to move so they won't go back again. All right. So you can that's $5 a year for your relatives or friends. That's $10 for members that are in school, students, or unemployed. And for the rest of us, it is $25 a year membership. That $25 or that $10 or that $5 give you the same rights and privileges as any member. Your privileges are not cut back. Actually, you might have more to say because we met you at the door that you're in at that point. Now, that don't mean you're gonna always stay there. You can always do more. We'll take your time. Become a member and donate your time because that's what it takes. That's the action that you need to provide. And you know what? It's the action. It depends on what you want to provide it for. Okay? Because all of us have been touched and are being touched. Every day we breathe, there is something colonialism is doing to us. And if we don't make a stand, it's going to continue to do it to us, just like it's doing to Cuba, just like it's doing to Venezuela. It is happening right here in our city, right in the middle heart of the health community. Some of our people won't have care. that they've known for over 50 years at the clinic on Belt and Martin Luther King. Okay, how do I know? I was there. And resources have been cut and dangled in front of the faces so bad that we've lost. Well, I'm no longer there, but I'm lost from there now because we couldn't get paid. And if you don't pay people, they can't work. We stayed as long as we could. Majority of us, we lasted out at least almost a year with maybe getting paid and getting paid late. But you know what? This is colonialism. Let's call a pig a pig. It's colonialism is the reason why our people in the heart of the city that need all kind of health support can't get it. What they've been coming for, like I say, for years. I've seen 5 generations. They say, my mama brought me here. My grandmother brought me here. And they're bringing their baby there. But they can't come if you don't have doctors. With that being said, I'll come back, tell you how much we've made for our step to freedom revolution. Uhuru.
Uhuru, so I want to open up the mic for discussions, questions. The space is open. Uhuru, I see Comrade Siali, and we do also have one question from online. Uhuru.
Right, Uhuru. First of all, I really, really appreciate this discussion happening today. And I really want to unite with what the chairman was saying about having a demonstration in the community. I can remember a couple of significant marches we did in Oakland, California. One was in the community when Lovell Mixon was killed by the Oakland PD. And there was another, I forget who it was, but we were at the West Oakland BART station and we marched through the community in West Oakland. And that is the most effective way of, organizing community. They see we care about something that they care about, that they live every day. And, I just think that that's the way to go. And I really, support that because we need to actually step up our outreach here in the North Side, in the African community, because I don't think this community has been really reached out to in a meaningful way for many, many years. And if they have been reached out to, it's to keep the people away from the revolution. So I just, I really want to unite with that. And Uhuru.
Uhuru. And we have a question here online. This one is for Chairman, coming from Don Hammonds. Uhuru, Chairman, is capitalist imperialism trying to destroy the planet?
Is what?
Is capitalist imperialism trying to destroy the planet? Uhuru.
Let me just say that I want to remind us again that the U.S. is a settler colony. That the settlers have no relationship to the history, to the environment, no connection to anything like that. Same thing is true with illegitimate white national state of Israel. Colonialism is a life-taking, life-destroying mode of production. And so they will destroy the planet. They are destroying the planet. That's what we're talking about every day when we look at the environmental issues, et cetera. I heard, I think, a discussion that was made by an Iranian who, just made the really important connection about the environment, because humans are part of the environment. As quiet as it's kept, we are part of the environment. And there's no way that human beings can survive the destruction of the environment. But the colonial capitalist system has no regard for anything that doesn't produce profit. And a man named Lenin, V.I. Lenin, made the statement once that a capitalist will sell you the rope to hang him with. And that's how this system works. It'll destroy everything. It'll destroy the environment, everything done. Yeah.
Uhuru, thank you so much, Chairman. We have a few more minutes for the open mic. I see a sister walking up. Uhuru, welcome, sister.
My question is related to the situation in Iran. I appreciate all the historical aspects been given today, but my question is related to, is this an opportunity for Africa? Given that there's a lack of oil availability in the world now, and several countries have oil. Nigeria, the refinery by Dangote, one of the wealthiest men in the world, and particularly in Africa. My question is this an opportunity for his refinery and other refineries that are on the continent to expand and to maybe be able to sell their oil elsewhere?
Uhuru, thank you for that question. Kamerazaki is coming up to answer.
Well, when you speak of opportunity, we have to understand historically, Africa resources have been exploited by the colonial state of the United States and European powers. So if it's the profits are used for the people, then that's a whole nother reality. But you have to have people in power that does not allow, the exploiters to take advantage of the people. That's how I see that. I hope I answered that question. And but before I sit down, I would like to make a couple of announcements. First announcement, I want to acknowledge the members of our organization that's present. Would y'all please stand, the UAPO? And then secondly, as Fofi just made mention, we need dollars in the movement. And our organization, we do an annual program on April the 4th, which is our fundraiser. And we have what is called annual wine and cheese fundraiser. And we have entertainment as well as hors d'oeuvres. And the donation is $40. We pray that you can be able to be supportive, as well as come out and see Nkenge struck down. Last year she was with us and she was strutting down the Soul Train line. Real tough. I was kind of in a state of shock. So anyway, please put that on your agenda, and we have some flyers explain it. And if anyone want to take it or commitment, see us afterwards. Thank you.
I just want to say that I think that our primary responsibility is to defend Iran. That's the critical question. And the Iranians are under attack. And to say that somehow we can benefit from the Iranians being killed, and I don't know how many people up to now, and this assault that's being made on their economy, and that's resulting in an economic blow to the whole world. You're talking about food not being able to be produced as effectively because so much of what's called fertilizer utilizes petroleum to make that happen. And I also think it's important to say that that those oil refineries were there before this war. They didn't just pop up since the war got started. And the whole Gulf of Guinea, rich with oil. Look at, people don't talk about it anymore. But one of the reasons that Somalia got attacked, I think that was in the 40s and in the 70s. When was Black Hawk Down? Was that in the 70s? 93, yeah, when Somalia got attacked. They had discovered what they call a valley of oil under Somalia. And much of it had been sold to major oil corporations in this country. So oil has been there. It's not like it's not been there, and Africans have had refineries there. But the thing is that you can succeed if you are willing to succeed at the expense of others. And that's the question that we often get asked, of whether or not we want to do that. And I don't think that's what we want. I think that most people are responding to the war that's been made on Iran in solidarity with the Iranian people. So, that's the way I would respond to that. That there's nothing good that can come out of this attack except victory for Iran and for other colonized people, whether they are in the Middle East or Africa or in North St. Louis. I really think that's what we, are confronted with. Yeah. Because, you talk about a social system where individual corporations, very rich people can make money. That doesn't translate to what is happening to the masses of the people. The richest person that we've just talked about is not that doesn't impact the masses of our people. We have to make struggle that's going to unleash these resources for the people, for all of our people, et cetera. Uhuru.
Oh, are there two more questions? Yeah. Okay. Cool. Yeah. And one of the things that we, a lot of the infrastructure that exists in Africa is infrastructure that exists to get the resources out of Africa.
That's all.
That's really critical to to be aware of. Just like the infrastructure that exists in African communities and here in the U.S. is to get our resources, the human material, all these things out of our communities. That's why we gotta go out of our communities to have any kind of productive be able to retain resources and things like that. And so, yeah, but being able to recognize that is important. Uhuru, Comrade Gregory, and then Comrade Cieli. I think these. Oh, there's another question online. Okay, cool. So we'll get through these three questions, and then we'll move on to next steps. Uhuru.
I couldn't help but be moved by the comments at the museum in which it stated that we are not against the American people, we are against American policy. And with that in mind, often when we question policy, we're being claimed not to be good Americans. And with that in mind, Brother Zaki, you've had a lot of experience with electoral political system. What would you say, or could you share with us maybe one or two things that as voters, we should be asking anyone who wants to run for office as it relates to policy?
Thank you for that question. First of all, being into politics, I'm glad you asked that. Our organization on a conceptual level push what we call proportionate political representation, which simply means that wherever percentage we are as a people on the national, state, and local levels of government, then we should have that percentage of political power, which really doesn't exist in many places throughout the United States. Along with that, though, we say that we have to have people running for office that, first of all, support reparations, that support policies that uplift people as opposed to put limits on them. Just for example, medical care. We should have actually free medical medical care similar to Cuba. We should have an educational system that is free in terms of higher education, similar to Cuba. So we're saying we should have policies that pushes Black community control of the police departments, and with a unified call for those policies, then that helps to awaken in my mind the overall consciousness of our community. Just imagine there are over 500,000 publicly elected offices in America. Let's say if we just had 20% of our people, of that number running for office, and everybody doing that clarion call, what they can do to possibly change policy in America. So I hope I answered your question. Okay. Oh, and one other thing before, and I failed to mention it in my opening statement. One of the logic that the Trump administration is using for attacking Iran was to keep Iran from having a nuclear bomb. Damn it, everybody know that the Zionist state of Israel has nuclear weapons. Why is it that nuclear weapons are in the hands of only a few countries? Because they want to have the biggest guns to dominate the world, bottom line. If the United States didn't want proliferation of nuclear weapons, set the example by ending our nuclear program right here in this country. That should be another call, in my humble opinion. So I just wanted to make mention of that. Oh, and one other thing, I'm sorry. I was just, and when Brother Todd was addressing the Red Scare of the early 1900s, he failed to mention that right next door to St. Louis and East St. Louis, they massacred our people in 1919 with the East St. Louis race riots. Yeah. That's my hometown, so I had to make sure I mention that.
Well, man, yeah, I think this is really important. I really appreciate our ability to have this important discussion. And I'm so proud that this discussion is happening right in the heart of North St. Louis, like one of the most impoverished sector of the African population, where workers and poor people have access to us. We don't necessarily do the work and job that we should in getting people here. But to do this where we're easily accessible to just ordinary African people, ordinary workers, and et cetera, is extremely important, because what happens is that the people are kept from these kinds of discussions. You have to go to universities, and this is that kind of quality discussion that we're having now, like universities and things like this, and ordinary people don't have this opportunity. But the thing is that one of the problems we're confronted with, because the question is, what do we do from here? And one of the problems, the things that make it easier for the United States to be attacking and killing Iranians and threatening Cuba and Venezuela and Ecuador and other places around the world, is because they don't have to fight colonialism right here. And that's our task, is to build the anti-colonial struggle here, but you can't build that based on some kind of anti-racism logic. Because the struggle against racism is an attempt to perfect the very same system that's oppressing us. We deserve and should recognize our responsibility to be a self-governing people, to be able to guarantee that our children will have a future, not because a good white man gets elected, or a white woman, or even a negress, but because that future is in our own hands as a people. There's no dignity in being subject to foreign and alien domination. There's no dignity there. The people can't have dignity. It's one of the things that continues to propel the Iranian resistance. The people can have dignity. They recognize their history. They recognize that they have roots. They recognize that they are a people with dignity that's made fundamental contributions to the development of the world. And it's our responsibility to make sure that we build a movement and take this consciousness to people in our communities. And it's not going to happen just in a classroom, except we put that classroom right in our streets, in our communities. We had a program once called Studies on the Stoop, where we would gather people in the community. We can do things like have home meetings in the neighborhoods, show videos, and have political discussions right there in the community, help people understand what the hell is going on, because it ain't that complex. Once you people get an opportunity to see they're doing the same thing that they do to us all the time, once they get that, then the rest is easy. We believe like things like the Black Power Blueprint that we're involved in, and like the first combatant, Comrade Onizane Shatella has been leading here for a while, has created various kinds of economic ventures. Our objective is to be self-governing. That's what this song is about. We looked at here, it's about national, recognizing we are a nation of people, strong. And this is the thing that we are compelled to everybody to recognize. And some of our best friends, who people call themselves our friends, don't want us to be able to recognize ourselves as a nation of the fact that we're involved in the struggle for national liberation. This movement for national liberation has impacted the consciousness of everybody in the world, especially during the 1960s. When there was a Black liberation movement, that's why there came to be a gay liberation movement. That's how there came to be a women's liberation movement. It is an adoption of the language of the African Revolution that undermine that. Once you get to that question, then you undermine the ideological coherence of a system that's based on oppression and exploitation. So I just wanted to make those statements. You were going to say something, Comrade Asiali?
I was just going to say something real quick, because there's a concern that I have, because I've been looking online how they've been talking about there's a possibility they might institute the draft. If this thing goes on any longer. And historically, we know that they've always told us, where if you come into the military, you can get some rights after serve us and this, that, and the other. And my thing is that we have to organize our people so that they have an alternative other than going to the military, the whole call, go to college, get money for college, or whatever the case may be. And it's just what I said earlier, that we just gotta be more in the streets amongst our folks, and organizing our folks, be here.
Well, the Africans ended the draft as quiet as it's kept. Yep. We ended the draft. Yep. Because Africans, particularly in Vietnam, where from 50 to 65% of the people on the front line fighting against colonized Vietnamese people. Was it you, Comrade Zaki, who mentioned what the Vietnamese were asking, what the hell are we doing there fighting against them? It's something like from 50 to 65% of the people who fought on the front lines against the colonized Vietnamese were colonized African people here. And that contributed a major resistance. People who were in Vietnam, Africans, were putting out life insurance policies with the policies, money if they were killed to go to the Black Panther Party here. They created the Mau Mau as an organization of Black soldiers in Vietnam. And then they created this exciting game that they call fragging. Yeah. And fragging comes from the term fragmentation grenade. Right. And Africans would go by the tents of their officers and throw fragmentation grenades in there. And they had to end the draft because of the resistance of Africans in the military. And so they said they don't want anybody who's not willing to be here. So they may talk about instituting the draft again, but I don't think it's something they look forward to because Africans are going to resist. Mexicans are going to resist, and other colonized people will as well. Uhuru.
And we cannot forget the historic challenge that Muhammad Ali pursued in terms of refusing to go into the draft, And in fact, I was drafted. I didn't go.
Well, you got to remember the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee coined the term, hell no, we won't go. Hell no, we won't go. Yeah. So that contributes to the development of another front of our movement, should they lose their mind to that extent.
Uhuru, I think that was a great discussion, and thank you so much. I think Right on. There is one question here online that says, can you say more about exactly what a plenary is, how the plans of the past we can see in recent work?
Oh,
Yeah. Uhuru.
thank you. Plenary is a really important thing. You know, our party has a regular Congress. It's scheduled for every 5 years. We come out of the Congress with a 5-year plan. We go into the Congress with a political report to the membership of the party, to everybody in the world who can see it. But the party votes on this political report. It's a summation of how we understand what's happening in the world today. It's what we call the main resolution, that all the other resolutions that come out of the Congress and also our plenaries have an opportunity to base their own resolutions on. So the plenary is something that traditionally happens every year. There's the Congress every 5 years, and every year a plenary that gives us a sense of where we are, sum it up, what's changed since the last plenary, how we have to be moving. But the attack on us by the United States government in 2022 disrupted that process. So this is going to be the first plenary that we've conducted in person since 2022? Was that the last time? And so it's going to be extremely important. This is also in our Congresses where we elect the national leadership, and every meeting that we have an opportunity between now and then, we are going over the political report so people can have an opportunity to discuss it and understand where it is that we're going. And we do that fully and adopt that formally in the plenary. The people get an opportunity to vote on it. Yes, I agree with this. No, I don't agree with. Here's the issues that I have with it, that kind of thing. Uhuru. Yeah.
Uhuru. So we'll go into briefly some next steps, and then we can do our announcements in Karamu. I want to really appreciate all the speakers who were here today. Uhuru. And I think it was a magnificent discussion, and as well as all the questions that were asked. It's important for our communities to recognize the significance of of the struggle, internationally and things like that. As Comrade Chairman had talked about, the NGA, the National Geospatial Intelligence Agency, is located less than 10 minutes. It's literally like down the street. And I think we talked earlier about the infrastructure in the African communities, that that these infrastructures exist to extract resources. The bus stations, the bus stops that exist is to get you out of your community, to go outside your community and develop other people's community and things like that. That's why they exist. The roads, the reason why these roads are so bad. But when you get to a certain part in the city, it's not bad. It's smooth. Sometimes it takes a while to notice I haven't hit a bump yet, not a pothole, none like that. Because that's where your resources go. That's where development goes. As said earlier, we live in a settler colony. The U.S. is a settler colony. It's the largest settler colony in the world. Yeah. And African people, African communities live as a domestic colony, an internal colony within a settler colony. Historically, colonies are something that is, outside of, the mother country. For example, when France, England, Italy, Portugal, Spain, all these things are, way across the sea, the ocean, and all these things. So we don't realize where our resources go to and where the development goes to. But here in St. Louis, we can see where the resources go to and the development goes to. The NGA exists to protect that structure. it is something like Chairman said, if the people were ever to retaliate and resist back, this is a legitimate target, and it exists at the heart of an African community. And so there's that, that the local struggle has international impact, and true solidarity with the struggles of the peoples of the world is to make sure that right here in St. Louis and wherever else African people are located, that we ourselves and all who can be one to support the struggle against colonialism right here in the U.S. Must happen. And so we do have to go into these communities, into our communities. I think a march was proposed. I think that's a wonderful ideal, and a march to go in through our communities and give them political education that we need, that's needed, because they want to have discussions about this as well, and do something about it. Who in this room would be open or want to work with us to put this demonstration or march through the African communities, make sure that happens. We have a few things that we gotta. Okay, I see a number of hands. Right on. We got a few things that we gotta work to establish a date, location. I mean, this requires some capacity to meet beforehand to to work to handle all this logistically and things like that. So can I see those hands again? Okay, right on. Okay, thank you so all right. A number of you have already signed on, and so I think I got a mental image. Okay, cool. So that's great. I think it'd be good for us to hold some kind of meeting this week.
If you recall, I had already put that out as
Okay.
a proposal, and we're working to make that happen this week.
Okay.
At our meeting in Cuba, we had projected on Cuba of following up on those two ideals, one going into the community and one in front of the Eagleton building. And I'll be informing everybody.
That's this week?
Yeah.
Is there a date?
I'm supposed to get a response from where we had the meeting at the church for either Tuesday or Wednesday.
Okay. Uhuru. Okay, right on. I do want us to continue to work with UAPO and really put together this demonstration. And there is also a need to make sure that we develop posters and flyers showcasing Malcolm X with the and Fidel Castro, Malcolm X and the Palestinians, Malcolm X and Iran. The African liberation movement has done much to in terms of a solidarity and all these things. One of the things that Chairman Mao has said was that national liberation, patriotism, and national liberation is applied applied internationalism. Uhuru. Okay, cool. So you said Tuesday, Wednesday?
Tuesday or Wednesday. I'm going to try to call.
Okay.
Excuse me.
All right. So we'll make sure to communicate that to you all, and as well as our collective base and communities. Uhuru. Okay. So next up, we do have our announcements. Oh, okay. And Fofi will be coming up to give us a tally of the resources. Or
Okay, comrades, our goal was $100.
Yeah.
And we've collected a total of 122. But there's a question about people that did it online. And if you didn't get a chance to give it to Ikenge, you can let me hold your hand up and I'll come back and let you know. I'll come by and get the amount that you donated.
Yeah.
Cash App or the online to the website. Okay. All right. Thank you. We're winning.
Right on. Thank you so much for that victory announcement. Next, we have Comrade Kumba, who will be giving the announcement. So, Uhuru.
Uhuru. All right. First on announcements, we are streaming live from the Burning Spirit TV YouTube channel, the online voice of the International African Revolution. If you're watching online, please give us a like and subscribe to this channel. It helps with the algorithm to reach a broader audience. Burning Spirit TV has also just launched its paid membership program, Uhuru, offering a 20% off promo code for the Burning Spirit store, where you can find books by Chairman Omali, as well as other Burning Spirit merchandise. Basic membership is $4.99 per month. We encourage you to support this important platform by clicking the join button and signing up. And in case you missed it, you can watch our historic September 2025 annual InPDUM convention on the Burning Spirit TV channel. Be sure to check out the dynamic presentations of Matsamela Odom, Omali Yeshatella, Jesse Todd, and many more, as well as reports from Africa by Louise Kinshasa and Tafari Magari, and much, much more. Join the African People's Socialist Party in St. Louis, Missouri, April 17th through the 19th for the 2026 International Plenary theme. This time till it's won. Power in our own hands. It's not just Trump, it's a whole damn system. This is a planning forum we use to deepen our organization, enhance our organizing, and lead the African working class beyond spontaneous protests to the capture of actual dual and contending power. This is a place for all freedom-loving people determined to have a new world free of oppression and exploitation to take part in a changing world. Register today, apspplenary.org. And also the update that the Ciali is doing.
Then. Right. Uhuru. All right. So, actually, that's not the one that I want. Let's go to the next one. There we go. So, just want to give a thank you to everybody that helped participate in the 314 Day or Pi Day. That happened last weekend. We sold 144 pies. We had 8 people signed up, and we got 1 new team member out of the process. And 314 Day, as I'm told, is a really significant day out here in St. Louis because the area code's 314, and then of course the date 314. You know, so, and it's a big to do because I got caught in a traffic jam coming back through the park. Fairground Park, I got caught in a traffic jam. People were celebrating. But just want to thank everybody that participated in that process. And we want to make sure we do it again bigger this time around. Also, we're going to be doing 2 pop-ups at Soulard Market. So we want people to sign up today. Please see me before you leave here today. We got production and baking happening on Wednesday, March 25th, and that's from 1 to 4 p.m. And that's going to be at Uhuru Bakery and Cafe, 3719 West Florissant. We'll also have baking, more production on Friday, March 27th from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. And that's going to be the big baking day. And then, of course, we will be at Soulard on the 28th of March, and that's from 8 to 3 p.m. And also, we'll be baking April 3rd from 9 to 1 p.m. And that'll be our second Soulard date. So 3/28 and April 4th will be our two pop-ups at Soulard Market. So we really want to get some volunteers to come and help do the production, the baking, as well as staffing the pop-ups at Soulard. And we want to have a lot of African representation on that market. So please see me and we can get you signed up so that you can come. And just to say a little bit about the shifts for Soulard, it is 8 to 3. And if you can do the whole entire time, right on. But you can do 2 hours, you can do 4 hours, or you can do an hour if that's all you have. But we need as many people to come and volunteer as possible. And that's my announcement. Uhuru.
Next on our announcements, we have the Revolutionary National Democratic Program studies every Thursday. They are online. You can join us every Thursday at 7 p.m. Central Time or 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Weekly RNDP studies hosted by the International President of the International People's Democratic Uhuru Movement are currently going through the reading studies of the political report up to the 2026 plenary by Chairman Omali Yeshitela. So that we all will have a deeper understanding of the work done and our work moving forward. So you can register to join the tinyurl.com/RNDP studies. Once again, that's the tinyurl.com/RNDP studies. And you can go there to register. Also, order now your Burning Spirit newspaper, the voice of the African working class, an important recruiting and organizing tool of InPDUM to get a summation of the current events in the world from an African internationalist perspective. Get a bundle or a subscription today at the burningspear.store. You can also sign up an incarcerated brother or sister who will receive free monthly copies of the Burning Spirit newspaper as a lifeline to the outside world. You can also donate to the Prison Subscription Fund to help get the Burning Spirit into the prisons. One announcement that just came in is important. So Thursday at 10:30 a.m. at this location, there will be a press conference. That's this Thursday, 10:30 a.m. Here at the Uhuru House. And this conference is entitled Uhuru 3 Wins Early Probation Termination. And so a lot of people don't even know about the Uhuru. And so just in terms of doing some media outreach and contact, it's some local forces don't know about it. So this is very timely, and this is a very important event. And we also want to extend our hand out to see if Mama Safia could be here, Brother Zaki Baruti, if possible. And we also will extend a handout to other forces that were here, like such as Jesse Todd and others in the community. And we know that you send your solidarity always. So if can be, please do come by. Uhuru? All right. So help build the Sunday rallies. We need your help building the Sunday rallies. This includes welcoming people at the sign-in table, helping with tech and audio-visual equipment, creating promotion materials like flyers, helping to provide security for these community meetings, and helping with Karamu to organize food in these Sunday rallies. And this is the Burning Spirit newspaper. As a matter of fact, we have a few copies on the back, so you want to get this. And as you see, this is the April edition, U.S. hands off Venezuela. So we're just continuing on the right trajectory politically. Uhuru. That ends my announcements.
Got that.
Uhuru, next up, we have Comrade Sophia, who will be speaking on Karamu today. Uhuru. I know in many ways this is one of the favorite parts because folk like to eat. Uhuru. Uhuru. Oh, you got it?
Comrades, I am so proud of y'all. I'm so proud of us because you know we're winning. Our total was $162.
Yeah.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Where am I?
Hello, everybody. Hello, everyone. So for today, we have chicken, vegan chili, vegan mashed potatoes, coleslaw, potato salad, and a nice little spread. I'll be sending out a text message for next week to see who can contribute to what we're doing next week. And then, so outside of that, let's eat.
Thank you for joining. We'll be here every Sunday, 3 to 5. Uhuru.
Yeah.